2, 1.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tea with Crema. I'll be one of your hosts today. My name is Chris, and I'm joined by my best friend, Emma.
What's up, y'all? And we are joined today by my best friend since college, circa 2012, UCR graduates, 2016, now Tafalele. Thank you, Now, for being here today.
Hi, everyone. My name's Now. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me, Chris and Emma.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I think it's been a hot minute since we've had a guest at all. I don't know what. Oh, well, we were going through some things as a podcast internally, but
we were trying to grow.
Thank you now for joining us. But we're so glad to have you now. Welcome to 2022. Welcome to the Tea with Crema. Before we get started with our topic today, I just want to check into our beverage check. So, Emma, what do you have to drink today?
To all the haters out there who said I would only be drinking green tea for the rest of the year, you might be right. But for the past 4 episodes, I have been drinking something that's not green tea. Today, I'm drinking another puka tea. It is called Feel New, and it's a clean fusion of aniseed, fennel, and cardamom. It's so far very good. It's kind of spicy. It tastes a little, I'm not sure how I feel about the aftertaste, because it's definitely that fennel-y, licoricey taste, and it's not my favorite. But that's okay. Christopher, what are you drinking today?
Today, I have another Tea Goblin tea. So, a while ago, I had the Piquant Peach, and today, I have the Sanguine Strawberry. So, I see that they have a theme here. So far, these are the two that I've had, and I really like this whole, the whole brand's presentation, the fruit themes, it's just really nice. And so, this one's a green tea base with strawberries and raspberries, and overall, I like this one. It's really, first of all, the fruit that it says that it is actually in the package. So when we were doing the advent calendar, there were a lot of oh, it's mango or strawberry, and then the main fruit would be something that was not that fruit. So I really like the Tea Goblin because what they say you're getting is what you're actually getting. So overall, I really like this tea. Green teas are nice, they're really easy, and the strawberry is really nice. What about you now? What do you have to drink today?
I am not drinking tea. I don't drink tea, honestly. I don't remember the last time I had some tea. Probably from Starbucks, but that's probably not really tea. I am drinking a hazelnut coffee. It's hazelnut flavored. It's a hazelnut flavored Keurig pod thing. And then I mixed it with some coffee bean hazelnut powder. It's so good. I love hazelnut. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Ooh, what's the brand? Never know. It might be a hidden sponsorship right there.
There you go.
I'm not sure. I think it's Dawn something. I got it from the store.
So yes, we are here today. 3 of us have hung out in the past in Colorado. That was kind of the first official meeting between my 2 best friends. So we decided that Now needs to come on the show too, because, the Tea with Crema with Now is going to be lit. Hopefully. We'll see, y'all. Because this editing is, yeah. Anyway, beside the point. So today's episode is going to be focused on COVID, the mental impacts around COVID, kind of the different responses that we've seen. We are in 3 very different places, with me being in Japan. Now is based in LA. And Chris is based in Texas, in Fort Worth, Texas. So we are kind of going to discuss the mental impacts that happen when someone gets COVID. So now and Chris, now that we're talking about COVID, we're on its however many variant that it's at. Did y'all ever have any previous scares with any of the other variants, or what are your experiences around COVID?
I know in the beginning, I think Christmas 2019, I think was my first scare, and I want to say it was not too long after hanging out with y'all, and not to put anyone from your family's business out there.
Oh, I was okay, also it was 2020. I think I can say that story. Yes, so Christmas of 2020. Yeah.
Oh yeah, these years just be
I know.
blending
They're
together.
like the
Oh my
past 3 years.
God, look at
So,
me.
of COVID year one, 2020, my mom and I had gone to California, and it was really weird because, not really weird, but Chris and I had been hanging out all the way up until I had left. And so I think I had seen him right before we had left. He had come over to the house, hung out. And we get to California, and my mom is cooking. And she's like, man, this like ginger is bad. It's gone bad already. And my sister and I are like, what are you talking about? And she goes, I can't smell it. And we're like, the ginger is very strong. And she goes, what? And so we like cut off a piece and we're like, can you taste this? So she took the bite and she goes, no, it doesn't taste like anything. She ends up testing positive. But at that point in the beginning, it was like up to 2 weeks previous, anyone that you had contacted or been in contact with needed to be like notified, or that was like considered your like close contacts. That was also my first scare too, because I was the first person that I had known in my immediate family that had got it. Was that your first scare as well?
That was my first, and to be quite honest, that's kind of been my only scare. That was like, yeah, that was the one. And that was still like I think that was pre-vaccine. That was early. Essentially, like Emma and I had committed to like, that was our pod. So it was like Emma, Isaac, your mom, and me, because we were all in Fort Worth. And like, my family was back in Austin. So it was just like, we hung out, and that was what we did. And so it just like, that's the way it went. I think it ultimately, that's the big one that I've had, because since then there's the vaccines, and after the vaccine, like I was pretty confident, like things were working out really well. And then, Omicron happened, and like that was my game changer, but it'd be like that. So
wait, I'm trying to think like date wise. Okay. So this scare was December 2020. And right, December 2020, vaccines weren't happening until like April of 2021, I think, right?
Because I got my vaccine like March 2021.
We didn't even see each other now, because I think we were making plans to see each other, but because of everything that had been happening, because I had also come home that summer and we didn't see each other either, because that was like at the height of it. So I think by that point I hadn't seen you for almost a year. And I remember we were making plans for you to come down to my sister's house and to come and see me. But then, everything happened and I was like, no, you got to stay away because, all of our parents are like older and things like that. But did you have any previous scares during like from the beginning to now?
The reason why I really wanted to see you was because I wanted to get the milk frother from your sister. That was just a sidebar.
Not even to see me, y'all.
Well, because Suko was like, "Hey, I have a milk frother," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna come." And then just things happened with Emma, and then I'm like, ugh. And then I got it a year later, but it's okay. My first scare, I can't think of my first scare. Like scare in the context of like someone told you like, hey, I had it, or like I was exposed to it and you should get tested, like that's a scare, right? Because I feel like I was like in scare mode all the time.
Just stayed scared.
I just stayed scared. No, I think just this year was the only scare that I had. When like COVID started happening like big in February of 2020, that's when I started working from home, like telework. And so I felt safe, and I asked my brother if my dad can go stay with him, especially because he was like, older and he had like other underlying medical conditions. So and Thomas and I at the time were in and out of the house a lot. And so I didn't want him to be unsafe. And so I don't remember I just felt like I was paranoid all the time, especially going to like the stores. But it wasn't up until this year where I had a scare. Yeah, it happened around Christmas. My partner's family like let us know that they were exposed. And so like that was on Christmas Day. So obviously there wasn't any sites open, because my immediate thought was like, I need to go get tested right now. And so we found a site for the next day on the 26th after Christmas. And we went immediately to go get tested. And then I wasn't having any symptoms at all. My partner also wasn't having any symptoms. And then it wasn't up until this is December 26th, probably around 9 p.m. where I was sneezing. I'm like, this is random. Like I sneeze, but I don't sneeze at 9:30 p.m. when I'm about to close my eyes. I'm well, why am I sneezing at 9:30 p.m.? Like, this is weird. And then like 30 minutes later, my feet started getting cold. I've never had that feeling before.
That's that body chill right there.
That's that and you know when I've seen the symptoms online, or people saying like I experienced like chills, I'm like, what does that mean? Like, you had ice cream and you were cold, or like, like, what's that mean? Like your hands are cold, but you're really hot. Like, what's that mean? And so I experienced it. I'm like, whoa, this sucks. And I felt my feet cold, and then I felt my fingertips cold, but like my head was hot. And then I was like, wow, this is weird. And at that time, during that time, I didn't think anything. I didn't think anything like COVID or anything like that. And then 2 hours later, I found out I got a email, and it was like, you're positive. And I cried. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I got it. And I was like crying. I was like hyperventilating. And then I called my mom. And my mom was like crying hysterically. And she was like, you got the Rona. I was like, girl, I know I got the Rona. You're not going to be telling me.
Oh, no.
And so I think she was just as shocked, because we always have conversations about how we would react if we got it. I think I was like feeling really numb, and I couldn't go to sleep. And then at midnight, I was fine. The next day, I was fine. But when I think about how I got it, it's like I have no idea of how I would have gotten it. Just only because I take the subway to work, back to and from work 5 days a week. Recently, I've been trying to take it at least only twice a week, try to keep my distance from people. I'm just grateful that I was able to get through it. I feel like it was more of like a mental thing for me than it was like trying to get better with, I don't know, like my sickness.
Yeah. So it was more like a mental battle other than a physical battle, right? Except for that first day where you were fighting it off.
Yeah, because that was my first time having a fever. I tried to talk to my mom about it. I'm like, Mom, have I ever had a fever? And she was like, maybe when you were like 1 or something like that. Like, so it was just like, I feel like that having COVID, it was like, I don't know why I'm doing air quotes, but having COVID, like, because I don't feel like it didn't feel like much. Like I always thought of it like something where I would be in the hospital, where I would be really sick and like throwing up. And I think a part of the mental health part of like having COVID is like me being on social media was hard too. That's also something to consider if like your mental health is not 100% there. So I wish that was something that I would have done, is like taken a step back. But I felt like I was on the gram all day because I had nothing else to do in this 4x4 apartment. Okay.
You was just out there. So I feel like, with a lot of these like stories, and now that it's coming out, that I feel like so many people are getting it, that we are all kind of, and people, especially like the three of us who had been very careful, had stuck to our pods, had stuck to seeing only the people that we had to see. We're getting tested before we saw people, now are getting it. Chris, do you feel like your experience was similar to Now's in that way, or was there any differences?
I think that an underlying theme, here in the Tea with Crema is like social media is a little scary. So gotta be mindful. We've said that before. Just like, whoo, that's social media. It be getting you. But my story was so for the longest time, I went to Austin, which is, I think this is the second year that I went to Austin during like
the holidays.
COVID. Mm-hmm. And part of it is just like, I live in Fort Worth, essentially like family free. Like my family doesn't live in Fort Worth. They all live in Austin. And in all honesty, throughout all of coronavirus, I think I have truly seen my family like no more than 5 times. Like I have really cut back on my visits to Austin, as in like my first year teaching, I went to Austin like 5 times in 1 month. I'm not saying that's healthy either, but like, I was taking coronavirus and COVID seriously. Like this was no joke. I was truly only seeing Emma like outside of going to work. And like I wear my mask everywhere and all this other stuff. And so what had happened was I went home this year and we were like, oh, let's go to the movies. And so like in my head, like we went to the movies. We went to see Spider-Man. Probably not the best choice. It was still popping at that time. So like it was not an empty theater, which is how I usually like to go to theaters anyway. Like I don't, even before COVID, I was like, if I could go to the empty showing, I was going to go. And we just happened to sit next to this lady. And what really set me off was like, she coughed one time and I was like, oh no, I got it. Like, this is it.
This is how it happens.
This is how it happens. This lady done coughed. Like I done got coronavirus. This is it. I don't think that's what happened because like no one else in my family has tested positive. So like, I don't think that's how it happened. But I will say, you know, I got my booster earlier that month in December, and I don't know. I guess Delta for me was not as serious just because it seemed like all of, you know, the lived experiences and the research behind it said that if you were vaccinated, Delta was not as much of a threat for you. So I didn't really feel anything. It was fine. I only got tested after coming back from Austin as like a precautionary measure. I was like, you know, I've been with people that like I don't work with and I don't see on a daily basis. So let me get tested like as a precaution. And then I had a positive result. I will say that outside of like just having the wherewithal to go get tested, I would not have known. I never had a single symptom. I did not have no fever, no chills, no loss of anything. Like I felt fine. I felt so fine that like Isaac came over to quarantine because I was like, I have an extra room. It's fine. He can stay there. Like it's totally fine. I was totally fine. Tested positive, was like, this is weird. And so something that like really stuck with me is like, man, had I just like not gotten tested, I definitely would have just like went back to work like a normal person. And like I still wear my mask at work, even like I've just been wearing it this whole time. But still I was just like, something that I was like really struggling with was like, man, had I not just gotten tested, I'd have been out here just like, woo, you get a COVID and you get a COVID and like you all get a COVID. And so I was just like, something that's really stressed me out this whole time, even like in the very beginning, I was like, oh man, it was never about like me. I've always just been worried about like, man, what if I got it and like gave it to someone who, and like my brain was always like, if you get it, you'll probably be fine. Like just reading all the like research, there was no real reason for me to think there were those like cases of younger people dying for sure. But my thing was like, man, I just don't want to give it to like my nephew or my mom. And then they're the ones that don't make it. Like that was what really like weighed heavily on me. And so I was just like, man, could you imagine like I had gone to work and just like gave it to someone and like they didn't make it and like the guilt that I would have had from that. But I also live in a state that like as soon as the CDC was like 5 days, the state was like, cool, 5 days and barely that. Like you're only going to get those 5 and then you have to go back to work immediately. And so like Texas has been high key.
Wildin'.
Bare minimum. Bare minimum. Like I really want to say like we were one of the first states that had like classrooms back open, like with kids. The state was very quick to start like fining districts who were trying to like stay or offer virtual options. Like I don't know, like Texas was not exactly going with the science on this one. And so that was something that I really struggled with like this whole time of like, man, I'm doing responsible stuff, but like, it's not fair because I still have to like go to work. So like, how do I balance like, you're still making me go to work, but on the weekends, I'm supposed to be the responsible one? Like, this doesn't make sense. I don't understand. So I always felt like I was like living this weird like double life of like going out to work like a normal regular person, but being responsible on the weekends.
Yeah.
And that was my big like, man, when I was like sitting with my little COVID stint, I was just like, man, I really do not like how it's like everything is work.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta get back to work. Man, I gotta do work. I'm missing work. And like, there was definitely a big part of me that like felt really guilty. Like the 2 days that I did miss out of work, I was like, oh man, like I'm not getting work done, or I'm gonna get behind on tasks, or I can't help other people. And then I had to sit back and I was like, why? Like, you have a contagious sickness right now. Granted, you're not feeling anything, but like, what are you doing to like take care of you as opposed to like considering your workplace? So that was my big like me versus workplace struggle in the whole thing.
Sounds like a bunch of capitalism to me. Abolish the work week, y'all. Anyway, that's my point. You know, I'm just gonna put this out there real quick. I'm gonna put my partner's business out there. But Isaac also thinks that he got it from the movie theater. He also went to go see Spider-Man with his family, and the lady next to him, like, I think she either sneezed or she coughed, and he was eating his popcorn, and he goes, and my mouth was open. So, moral of the story, don't go to the movie theaters, y'all. Or better yet, just don't be sitting next to people.
Yeah, it was so, like, it was so real that, like, SNL had a whole skit about people getting COVID from going to see Spider-Man. Like, that's not like a me and Isaac thing. I swear, like, a lot of people were like, man, I got it from the movie theater going to watch Spider-Man. Like, that is the exact combination that people are like, I got COVID over the holidays. Not from being with my family.
Nope.
No. I got it from going to the theater and watching Spider-Man over the holidays.
You know what, though? We were supporting Zendaya and Tom Holland, so regardless. So, you know, now that you guys have both come out to the other side, right? Chris had to quarantine/isolate for 5 days and now had to wait until she tested negative. Did you experience any mental health impact because of the fact that you guys were both physically fine but having to stay at home?
Yeah, that's a good question. I actually was thinking about like how I was trying to take care of myself mentally probably a week into quarantining, because like what I did from like when I tested positive until like the 13 days is I was trying to keep myself busy. I was cleaning, I was organizing, I was just keeping myself busy. I woke up no later than 9 and was cleaning, laundry, everything until like 10 p.m. And that was just like routine every day. First week of quarantine, I was able to work from home. And then after I tested, so throughout the 14 days, I think I tested, no lie, 6 times. I tested positive the entire time. And so for work-wise, it was very mentally draining because I wasn't able to go back to work until I had a negative test, but I also wasn't allowed to work from home after that first week. And so I was like very consumed with wanting to work and keeping myself occupied. But then I had to check myself like, why are you so like stressed about working and like keeping yourself busy when you really should just be taking this time to chill and not do anything and be okay with not doing anything. And so I was mad at myself because I was so consumed in wanting to be occupied and like productive when I should have just sat in my feelings and just did what I had to do to just be fine. But I was definitely like deep into my thoughts about like mental health because I couldn't sleep for a little bit. Like I couldn't sleep. And so that's why I would just wake up really early in the morning to just forget about sleep. And so I think that was like a bad way to cope. And I also like didn't want to talk to my therapist. I'm like, I don't want to talk to anyone. Like I was like, I guess maybe I was in denial. I feel like I was like up and down. Like I'm in denial. That's wrong. That test is wrong. Let me take another one. That test is still wrong. And it was definitely, I don't know how else to explain it with, like, I was just trying to fill a void by trying to go to work. And that's not how it should have been. And so having conversations now with people who are quarantining or isolating, I think one of my main tips for them is, yes, take care of yourself. Obviously, if you're going through like chills or all the symptoms, but also like take this time to just be to yourself. Like don't think about the everyday things that you have to do, like work, because I don't think it helps. At least it didn't for me. And I wish I told myself that, because it wasn't until like the day that I had to go back to work that I'm like, dang it, I should have took more time to just not do anything. Because 13 out of the 14 days I was thinking about work and how much stuff I have to do when I get back to work. And so I was pretty pissed at myself. And it's not like my job was telling me to do work anyway. It was me. And I know other people don't have that privilege. Like, I feel like there's other jobs that are like, can you still do this even though you're not getting paid? Blah, blah. Can you do this free work? And like, I was just wanting to do something to keep myself busy, and I don't think it was healthy.
I think I probably had like this whole mental dilemma for like the first like 2 or so days. And then, but your boy, like, I be coming back from stuff like that. Like, self-care is my jam. Like, so I was like, okay, cool. I was like playing video games. Like, I did do some stuff for work, like on the 2 days that I was out from like work officially. But also, like, as someone who works in education, like, it overlapped with my holiday break. So it's not like I missed too much work to begin with. And so what work I did do was just to make sure that, like, you know, I also like to set myself up for success. And I didn't want to go back to work because, like, one thing that I've learned is that Texas has not altered any deadlines, any expectations, nothing. So everything is still the same. So, like, even if I had gotten like true COVID, not that I did not have true COVID, symptomatic COVID. I did not have symptomatic COVID. But even if I had symptomatic COVID, the reality is that work wasn't going away. And so I think that was part of it. But then I also felt fine. So I was like, oh, I'll do some work. It's fine. Like, I went through the like, am I just feeding into the machine of making me work until I die? Or do I do this work because I care for it? Or do I do this work because I care for myself and didn't want to stay late trying to get caught up on stuff that I was going to get behind on? Like, it's a real interesting balance. At the end of the day, I really just want to live on my tiny home on my piece of land in the middle of nowhere that's very self-sufficient so that I don't have to work for all of this stuff. But until that day, you know, I'm going to be out here, you know, doing what I can to like have peace of mind. And so for me, like, I worked while I was off to make sure that like when I went back, I wasn't like drowning in being behind. I felt guilty the whole time. I was like, I'm not supposed to be at work right now. But you know, it's the game. It's the system that I signed up for. Do I wish that we were in a system that was a bit more cognizant of people's needs and feelings? Mm-hmm. Yes, I do. And I don't know, maybe California's a little bit more nicer to people. Maybe Japan's a little bit nicer to people, but Texas is like, figure it out. Like, truly, just figure it out, because this is a you problem. Wear your mask better. Like, buy better masks.
Maybe wear your mask, period.
But also, like, we're not going to make you. It's not required. But, like, you know, it's kind of a you thing. It's your fault.
Texas stay
so
wild.
That was my... It was difficult. Just being in a place that, like, it just felt like I cared. Even up to this point, I'm just like, man, I still feel like I care more than a lot of the people around me all the time. Like, I will... There are still so many places that you can go right now in Texas, and most people will not have a mask on.
Walmart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Target, like,
oh man,
anywhere.
Yeah.
And so that part is just the wild part of like, man, I'm doing my part. Can y'all do what y'all are supposed to do? Like, this is annoying. Like, I have put so much of my life, not necessarily on hold. Like, I'm still doing stuff, but like, you know, my whole Brazil trip is at risk right now because y'all won't put on a mask. Like, do what you're supposed to do, because it's getting on my nerves. You know what I mean? Like, and that was my like conclusion. I was just like, man, I wouldn't say everything that I could have done. You know, to do of everything that I could have done would have literally just to have been to not have visited my family, to have not gone to the movies, to have not gone to dinner, to have not done all these things. But considering like the impacts that would have had on me personally, to still be expected to like go to work, but to not do anything else to recharge or to refresh or to just like be a human with feelings, that was where I was like, nah, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna do stuff and I'm gonna accept the risk therein. And I had to figure out the way, like saying that and then like actually coming to peace with it when it happens was different. So I was like, nah, I'm gonna do this stuff and like it's gonna be what it is. And then to have gotten COVID, I was like, man, that sucks. I could have done more. But then I was like, actually,
you did what you were supposed to do.
I did most of the things. I have my vaccine. I have my booster. I wear my mask.
I think that it's also interesting too, because now we're seeing it on social media, right? And we're seeing it, I think that there's like a little bit of shame that comes with getting it, right? Because we did everything correct. And then the fact that we can, succumb to it and whatever. AOC had actually tested, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez had tested positive, I think, right? Like around the same time that y'all did. And she had this really long post about it and talking about kind of the individualism that Chris was touching on, right? She said, it's truly bizarre to me that giving a blank about other people is a polarizing political stance, because she starts saying that a lot of the COVID rhetoric right now is very individualistic, right? Wear your mask, get vaccinated to protect yourself, go back to work even with symptoms because you're fine, right? This whole moving from 10 days to 5 days. And, the fact that we should care about other people, but we're not. So I thought that was really interesting. But did you feel yourself, as we're seeing a lot more people posting about their journey with COVID? Before, it used to be kind of like this thing like, oh my God, this person got COVID, but I was just seeing them out and about living their best life. Like they were at festivals, they were at the club, all these things. But now these people who I share space with, who are doing the precautions, who are doing the right things, are now sharing. Now you shared your journey, and I think that was kind of helpful. Do you think that you had experienced any type of shame, or what are your thoughts on like social media shaming and kind of like documenting your journey with COVID?
When I thought about social media shaming those who have COVID, or, knocking people for like going to the club and, posting about it, I thought about like its precedence now as opposed to like when COVID started, and how like when it first started, it's like why are you out? Like I feel like I'm not even gonna lie, I was definitely shaming people more so in the beginning when it first happened, because it was very new and very deathly. Whereas right now, thankfully we're not seeing like that number now, like with the Omicron, but I feel like I haven't really seen that much social media shame about people posting about others like going out and being like irresponsible, or like, taking trips. Like I feel like a lot of people are really just going back to their normal, like traveling, dinner, club, any outdoor like festivals and things like that. And so I don't see any social media like shame on that. I feel like it's more welcoming now to be able to talk more about it, but I feel like I wasn't more like aware of that until I had it. Until I had it, I was more willing to like be more open, but I also didn't see other people posting about it, at least on my feed, that they had it. So I'm not sure if you all had any encounters with people sharing their experience. And I feel like my immediate thought is like, yeah, they're probably ashamed to tell people their status. For me, I definitely wasn't ashamed, because I knew that I was doing what I can. Like I felt like, like you all mentioned, you were wearing your mask, you were vaccinated, were boosted, and I was getting tested at least twice a week. Luckily, my partner works for one of the testing sites, so I was able to. And on top of that, LA County has a lot of sites to get tested. And so I felt like if I have the access, then use it. And if it's for free, then do it. So I was doing that. But ever since like the Omicron came out, I feel like I'm not seeing any shame around it on social media. I haven't personally felt any shame, but I definitely did when it first started. Like I didn't want to go anywhere. Like when it started around like February 2020. I'm just not sure how other people feel when it comes to sharing it, and if other people feel social media is pressuring them not to tell their status, if they're COVID positive or not. But I think it should be more welcoming, or I don't know. I feel like it depends on the person. Maybe they don't have any social media pressure and they just don't want people to know that they had it. I don't know. But I hope they're telling people that they had it so other people can go get tested is
so they can go do their close contact and their due diligence. Yeah. I think that I definitely have not seen it very much on mine, but I think that it's also... Actually, no, I take that back. There have been people who I know have posted and are reflecting on the fact that they've are reflecting on them doing all the things that they were supposed to do and then still getting it and kind of working through that feeling of like, dang, I did everything and I still caught it, so like there's nothing wrong in that fact of you doing what you're supposed to do. Like COVID is a very contagious, disease and sickness. And so the fact that we're getting it after doing our due diligence, like we shouldn't shame that. We should be having these conversations about like, how can we get through it? Like now we have to talk about the mental impact. Like how do we move past that? So any last thoughts on your COVID experience, mental or physical?
I will say, going back to work, I was like driving a little bit. The first week I drove, and then now I'm going like taking the subway a couple days of the week since I share the car. And I feel like when we get to the root of all this, when it comes to like safety and like moving from like being individualistic and like more like community focused, like I think about the subway, and right now the subway, a lot of people who are houseless are on it because they don't have a home and because it's cold and because it's raining. So there's no other way for them to seek like a home or shelter than being on the subway. And so I was thinking about that being on the subway, like, wow, like I'm here really self-conscious and like having like anxiety attacks like these past 20 minutes going on the subway. But it's like our government like needs to address the houseless. Like they need to help these people not be on the subway. Like they're probably already sick. And then everyone else on the subway is probably getting sick. And it makes me so sad because I've been taking the subway for probably like 3 years now, and it's always during SoCal don't really have a winter, but this is during this time, these couple months, most people are on the subway trying to be warm and to stay dry. And so that's also been something I'm trying to think about, and how our government should like help those, it's hard because like we need to go to work, but then we're afraid to go to work. And then there's so many other people who are around trying to get to work. And then we come home from being around all these different types of people and then trying to get tested. It's just, I feel like it's a whole nother job in itself, trying to like think about how to take care of myself, get tested, do all these things, try to have fun, but not too much fun, because apparently too much fun is like...
Don't be going to the movies.
But yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, once you brought up, like, the whole privilege of being, able to house yourself, like, you guys were both very fortunate in the fact that you both have your own apartment, were able to self-isolate if you needed to. I was thinking about when Isaac tested positive, and we were struggling, like, trying to figure out where he could go safely. And so my mom's house wasn't an option because she has a 1-bedroom. Like there was no way that they would be able to isolate safely there. And then we were like thinking about hotels, and we are like, okay, well, can you even go into a hotel? Like, is that safe for you to even be exposing yourself to hotel staff? Like, can we go to an Airbnb? And then we're like, okay, well, you have to probably divulge information if you go to an Airbnb. And then finally I was like telling Chris all of this stuff, and he goes, I have an extra bedroom. And I was like, oh my goodness, like the fact that, and so Chris really did save the day at the end of that whole debacle, because and not that Isaac is houseless, there's no, like, he has a home, but there was nowhere for him in that moment to isolate safely, because we weren't sure if his family in Mississippi if he was able to go back there to isolate. He couldn't isolate in Texas. He couldn't go to his dorms. And so that really brought up a whole different side of COVID that I hadn't thought about. And like, when you don't have safe spaces to isolate in, like Austin and Houston in Texas are doing a really good job, where they have places where people who test positive and live in homes where, it's like multi-generational, or they just don't have a place to isolate at home. They give them a hotel room for as long as they need it until they can test negative. And so, but again, these are happening in these areas like Fort Worth and Austin are two different demographics politically. And so you can tell that the places that are going to be more liberal, that's I guess the best way to say it, they were the ones that were providing these safe spaces for people to isolate in. So yeah, that was my last thoughts on that. Christopher, any last thoughts?
Capitalism.
I'm keeping that in. I'm keeping that in.
Nah, you bet not.
Keep that in.
Can you say it nicely then? So I can keep it in? Because really though, last thoughts are like, no, this is just like...
My last thoughts are like, at the end of the day, you know, like we all work in a system. And to me, it has been made very clear that the priority is the economy. I've seen it a lot. And, you know, even if that's not necessarily what people are saying, you know, when you're reading a lot about, you know, CNN, like their news reports and things of that nature, a lot of it is just like, we're still reporting on joblessness and how many people don't have jobs. And we're reporting about how the stock market has recovered from, you know, all of the COVID depression that it faced. And everyone's talking about inflation rates and the supply chain shortage. And I think what's missing out of all of this is like, yes, we're talking about the economy, but are we talking about all the people that disappeared from the workforce because they died of an infectious disease? And so, like, to what extent are we actually considering like the human factor? Like, we want the economy to be open, but what things have to be in place for the economy to be open? And one thing that's like really evident to me, because that's the industry that I work in, is education. And so reading about states that are just truly like bending over backwards to make sure that schools are open without doing anything to support those schools being open, like in a realistic, tangible, long-term kind of way, I think has just made it clear to me that like the system does not care for individuals. Thusly, care for yourself, because honestly, who else will?
Yep. That's it. That's the one. That's a great final thought.
That is the one.
Okay.
You're welcome.
So
with that, it's time for our
rapid fire questions.
Yeah.
Bum, 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 bum. Now, since you're our guest, we will let you go first. What is your rapid fire question for today?
Okay, I really like this rapid fire question because I've asked it to two people. I thought in my head I asked it to a lot of people. It's only been two. Okay. If you could eat one food item for the rest of your life, what would it be?
French fries.
French fries. We've actually answered this question before, but that's okay now. So, what would your food be that you would eat?
Well, when I wasn't a vegetarian, I think it was pasta, like spaghetti with some meatballs.
Solid.
But now
solid.
That's a good question. Now that I am vegetarian, I think I would go with grilled cheese. I think I could eat. Wait, is that two things? That's one thing, right? Grilled cheese.
No, that's a grilled cheese.
That's one thing. Grilled
right.
cheese.
I think I could do grilled cheese every day. Yeah. What about you all? Oh, you said
French fries.
I wonder if French fries was like our answer the first time. I feel like it was because I said that really fast.
Yeah, I think it was. Okay, I guess if I had to pick like a meal that I would eat every day, it'd be like steak and mashed potatoes. Chris, if you had to pick a meal rather than a food, what would it be?
French fries. I've had French fries for a meal before. What's wrong with you? Like, it'd be French fries.
Yeah, I think we also had...
You could do anything with French fries.
Then we ended up having a conversation on the versatility of French fries and how you can have different cut of French
I was like,
fries.
you could have cheese fries, garlic parmesan fries.
Literally
like,
same exact
what are you
conversation.
talking about?
Okay, it's like deja vu. Anyway, Christopher, what is your rapid fire question for today?
Okay, so my rapid fire question is like specifically designed for this episode because... Just gonna go ahead and put everyone's business out there. I don't know if y'all been following along on social media, but now and Emma are engaged.
We sure are.
Y'all both are. So
I was waiting for you to finish the sentence. Like, engaged in what? Like, so you mean like engaged?
Engaged in illicit
to
activity.
be married. Not engaged, to be married. And so today my question is... Obviously, like, when you're, like, marriage is something that people think about, like, even before they are engaged. But I want you to think right now today, the one non-negotiable that you have for your wedding. Like, this is gonna happen in your wedding no matter what. Like, what is that non-negotiable?
Oh, man. Oh, I think my non-negotiable is that we are writing our own vows. That has always been my thing. Like, even before Isaac and I had, like, even began discussing getting married, like, for real, you know, not like when we're, like, 16, like, oh my God, we're gonna get married. No, it's always been that you're gonna write your own vows, and mine are gonna be funnier. Just kidding. But I think that's always been, like, my thing. Like, I've always wanted us to have our own vows. Yeah, that is my one non-negotiable. Oh, and also that no one can wear white. If anyone looks more fly than I do, they're getting kicked out. That's it. I don't care. Chris will be the bouncer, and he will kick anybody else.
We're gonna go fit check.
You know, whoever's coming in wearing white, they better be turned away at the door. And if I see them as I'm walking down the aisle, I will kick both of your butts. Okay, now do you have any non-negotiables?
Well, at this time, Thomas and I don't want a wedding. But I say at this time because we don't have a date. Things could change. AKA, I've been changing my mind like every day.
Christopher, do you have any non-negotiables for when you get married?
Yes, I have two.
Yes.
Let's hear it. Number one.
Yes.
One, there will be a dance number. All of the, like, whatever the wedding party, like, everyone's dancing, and I dare you to try not to. And the second is that I will not do events, like objections, drama, no. Find another place, because it will not be my wedding. Like, I promise you.
What? What's that? Events? What do you mean?
There will be no one there who's gonna do anything that makes me feel as though
no drama.
You are doing. There's no drama.
No. Okay.
If you had plenty of time to object, and even if you didn't have time to object, I clearly did not want you to object. So sit down. There will be no baby mama drama. There will be no baby daddy drama. There will be no ex-boyfriend, girlfriend. Like, nah. Like, there will be a guest list, and if you are not on it, you cannot come. Like, it's, that, you know, it's very similar to Emma's. Like, she's not here fashionably for that, but, like, I'm not here for anyone.
No shenanigans.
Anyone who tries to propose at my wedding, try to propose at my wedding if you want to.
I don't understand that. Okay, I'm sorry. I have to, like, talk about that really quick. I do not understand when people propose at other people's weddings. I think that is so rude. And even when people are like, oh, it's fine, like, it's my best friend, or oh, it's my little sister. No, because then it just got overshadowed. Also, now they just got free photography, which I just paid for, which, again, I'm not about to be rude and selfish. Like, if it happened, yes, I would allow that. But, no.
Oh, no.
This day is my
day. If it happened, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. As soon as I see someone on their knees, I don't care if they're picking a drink up off the floor. They have to go. Like, you have to go. We have wait staff for that. Like, get off the floor. I'm not doing this. Goodbye.
Oh, no. My gosh.
I always wonder why people do that, though.
Right? Like, it's not okay.
It's not cute either. It's like, oh gosh. Okay.
No, ma'am.
I think what we're going to have to bring back now for when we start talking about wedding stuff, because we have very similar experiences we both got, we were proposed to within 4 months of each other.
Yeah.
A pandemic wedding is something that no one should ever have to plan, but, you know, we out here trying to do that. So.
We can still leave, Emma.
We could still get out, like. Just kidding. I really do need my husband to come see me, because I should not be in this big ass apartment with no husband. There should not just be me. So I'm not leaving. Promise, Isaac.
I'm not leaving, Thomas.
But yeah. Okay, sorry, y'all.
What's your rapid fire question?
I'm trying to wrap this up. My rapid fire question is nowhere near as fun as y'all's, but mine is, what is your least favorite drink?
Dr. Pepper.
I was gonna say the same thing. I hate Dr. Pepper, and that's such a Texas drink. No, I was actually gonna say like LaCroix, like seltzer water. Sorry, now I know how much you love seltzer water, but that is my least favorite.
I have a whole list. I can't stand LaCroix. I can't stand Dr. Pepper. I don't like cranberry juice.
I love cranberry juice, especially with some little bit of alcohol in it.
It's so bitter. It's so gross.
Oh, do you like cranberry cocktail? That's like the sweeter one.
I don't know what the difference is.
Cranberry juice itself is like very bitter. Yeah, I understand that. Now, do you have a least favorite drink?
I recently tried eggnog, and it's not good. I don't like eggnog. It's so disgusting.
It's terrible.
You know who
oh my
loves
god, it's
eggnog?
awful.
My sister loves eggnog.
Why did people hype
My
this
brother
up?
loves it.
It's nasty. I don't like it.
I don't know. It's gross. It's truly like it's like over fermented egg and milk.
And it's not even like custardy.
Nope.
It's like yucky.
Oh yeah, I would say eggnog.
Like syrup, but not
it just wasn't good. Okay,
tea.
eggnog.
Apparently,
No, tea's good. I need to give more. I need to give it a chance more. It's just not my first choice. Okay, so eggnog and root beer. Okay, no root beer.
I love root beer.
I can't stand root beer
I
either.
love root beer, especially root beer flavored candies. Yum! Y'all are haters.
Like y'all both get me in different ways. Like I can't stand root beer. I can't stand Dr Pepper. I can't stand cranberry juice. I can't stand eggnog.
It's too much. Yeah.
Not about it.
But I could do root beer float. It's weird. I could do root beer float. I just like just the ice cube part, but not drinking it. Just
oh my
not
god,
not drinking
my favorite
it.
part
Just
is
the ice cube part.
Yum.
All right, everybody. So if they want to reach out to you now, how would people get in contact with you?
You can follow my plant page. It's called Now Let's Plant.
Emma, where can people find the podcast?
You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at The Tea with Crema. You can also find us anywhere that you can stream your podcasts. We are also newly on YouTube, so don't forget to like and subscribe. If you'd like to buy us a cup of tea, you can Venmo us at The Tea with Crema. We hope to see you next time.